Welcome to Frederick's Garage. We've all seen them. There's a ton of car videos out there. Engine swaps, bigger, faster, better, barn finds, rescuing field cars, etc. A lot of guys have a lot of talent, a lot of creativity, but they make a lot of easily avoided mistakes, create a lot of unnecessary messes, make their lives harder than they need to be. So here I have a couple ideas on how to avoid some of those common pitfalls. Stay with me. A popular source for headache and unnecessary mess comes from the back of the transmission when pulling a transmission or pulling an engine transmission combo. So you tilt the thing backwards, fluid just literally gushes out of the back of the tail shaft, creating one hell of a mess. A lot of videos you'll see some hero put a latex glove on there with wire ties, only to build up a bigger quantity of the stuff to leak all over the builder or the floor or both. So what can you do about that? Well, they make these plugs. I believe they're application specific. These are less than $10 in most cases, and you can get them at Summit or Speedway or Jegs, or so you have your $7,800 order of rear end gears, torque converters, heads, camshafts, etc. Spend the extra $10, $12 and get one of these for your application and save yourself a lot of headache. A lot of places too, they'll do so many builds and custom drive shafts and all, you might very well have a spare yoke or two laying around. So the yoke, combined with a few wire ties to secure it, that's another good way to do it. And depending on your situation, that can cost you virtually nothing. But easy, simple fix, just a little bit of prevention creates a whole lot, or prevents a whole lot of mess. How many times have you seen an engine or an engine and transmission installation video where the team is struggling to get the proper angle for the assembly to get it stuffed in under the hood, maybe clear the radiator support, get it snuck in under the hood, get it into place and everything lined up without gouging the newly painted firewall or damaging some of the restored or newly acquired components, let alone the components on the engine itself. Quite often, you'll see someone break out a ratcheting strap and they'll apply some tension to get the angle they desire. The challenge there, though, is there's a discrete number of teeth, so the adjustability is somewhat limited with the ratcheting strap. And even worse, when you want to lessen the tension, there isn't a controlled tension release mechanism. It's essentially all or nothing. You're releasing all the tension or you're keeping the tension on. So disaster can ensue. So what's a better solution? Well, what I've used over the years is this engine leveling mechanism, fairly simple screw and some iron. And these are available, just checked recently, they're anywhere from $40 to $80 typically, available from a number of sources. And they're almost infinitely adjustable, at least with the front to back leveling. So you can use the hand crank, or you can put an electric drill on there and automate the process. But in any case, for the money that costs versus the aggravation that it saves, why not add the extra $40, $50, $60 item onto your expensive order for your speed parts and make your installation that much easier? So another popular YouTube theme when installing an engine and transmission combination is to get all your buds together. I mean, after all, that beer isn't going to drink itself. And have everybody hold anything and everything to keep from scuffing up the firewall, the fender wells, the engine and trans itself. After all, you spent a lot of time building that and painting it. What else can you do? Well, you could talk your girlfriend into giving up that duvet with kittens on it, or those old blankets that you don't really use anymore, and you can line the engine bay and firewall with padding. Moving blankets work too. Quite affordable at some of the discount hardware stores. In any case, save your friends the trouble and keep them one step farther away from divorce court by pulling them away from their significant others for something that you can do yourself with just a little bit of precaution. Another thing that always puzzles me is how much faith these builders or mechanics will put into the threads of the crankshaft bolt. They'll try and turn a severely seized high compression motor with one little teeny tiny bolt, the risk of stripping it or snapping it off, which if you're going to save the engine, that could be a big deal. So what I've found are these other solutions. One, if there's any chance that the motor's going to spin, just try and spin it by the fan, pressing on the belt to give it some tension. A little bit safer. Secondly, if you're going to cut off the belts anyway, try a strap wrench on the harmonic dampener or on the crank pulley. The strap wrench is probably a $10 item available at most hardware stores. And then finally, not that you can necessarily get under a car in the field, if you're doing a field rescue, but this little guy here turns the teeth of the flywheel nicely. This is especially handy for when you're under the car trying to reattach a torque converter or detach one during installation or removal. In any case, this is made by Lisle, L-I-S-L-E, and last I checked, they're about $25. I ended up buying this by accident. I had it intended it for another purpose. It didn't work out. And I got to tell you, I've used this thing more times than I could count. So again, until you're spending thousands of dollars on speed parts, if not tens of thousands of dollars, or some cases you'll burn off more tires doing burnouts than I have spent on my entire build, having a few extra tools like the ones I showed in your arsenal can really save you a lot of headache and mess. Cheers.